Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden meet for the first time in Geneva, Switzerland. And from the beginning on, I have some pictures for you. Actually, from the beginning on, I thought that wouldn't be that an interesting meeting because the positions were so confrontational that I was of the opinion that it might be a little bit distanced. I was quite surprised how much was to read and to see from their body language. Right from the beginning on, Vladimir Putin leaves the car and the governor of this part of Switzerland welcomes him. Vladimir Putin wants to take the photos here, but he learns that the photos are taken two steps a little bit behind. And what he does is he does a little nod and he bends a little bit. This is a signal of submission. This is a signal of friendliness. He shows subordinance to the direction of that person from Switzerland gives him. That shows how charming Vladimir Putin can be, because most of us only see that strong man, that person who doesn't care for anyone's emotion. No, he shows he can be very charming. Joe Biden, on the other hand, is, as we know him, very slow. He appears old. I know he is old, but he appears also old. His slow motions, always a little bit bent in the neck, that makes him older. And what both of them do, when they shake hands, they all do the same. They pull their hands in front of their body. So the other one always has to stretch out, and that is a dominant signal of Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. As you can see, both of them stand on the same side, which is the left side. I was interested how would they solve the problem when they shake hands, because it can't be that both of them stand on the same side. So what they did is Vladimir Putin stretched out his hands, but he was on the left side, so he pulled Joe Biden a little bit towards him. When they stand, that was actually really an advantage for Vladimir Putin, because if you look closely, both backs of his hands are turned forward. And as a result, the elbow has a little bit of a gap between the elbow and his upper body, and that makes him appear very strong. Also, his body is very stretched, very upwards. Joe Biden is, as we said before, a little bit bent forward, and his arms are crossed in front of his body. So that is not that dominant. When they sit, as they sit, you can clearly see the difference between the both in the body language. Vladimir Putin sits there, leaned backwards, and he has also his arms on his armrests. His legs are a little bit spread, and that appears very dominant because he dares to claim for ground. As he starts to speak, Vladimir Putin never looks at Joe Biden. And that is the gap or the difference between the spoken word and the body language. Spoken words are nice, diplomatic words, but the body language doesn't care for Joe Biden. And on an emotional level, body language counts more. That is the thing that Vladimir Putin really emphasizes, the thing that I'm not really interested. If you want something from me, you have to approach me. Leaning backwards throughout that short meeting, he even makes it stronger. He leans even more backwards, keeps his hands on the armrest and the legs even more stretched out. And what he also does is he raises his eyebrows, but the eyelids are halfway closed. So if you look at me, you get also the impression, Stefan is not very interested. And last point, he looks at Joe Biden or at the press only out of the corner of his eyes. And all of that is a signal mainly for the Russians. Why is that? To be honest, Russia is not on the same level as the US, military-wise and also economical. But Vladimir Putin's personality and his body language is so strong that he gives his people a feeling of identity, a feeling of we are important. So we have to understand that it is not primarily against Joe Biden, but it is primarily a signal to his own people. On the other hand, Joe Biden has crossed his legs. He is turned over a little bit towards Vladimir Putin, and as he starts to speak, he looks at Vladimir Putin and he speaks to him. His first words are very revealing and very important because he says,
"Well, thank you. As I said outside, I think it's always better to meet face to face."
It is always better to meet face to face. Which reveals, although we all have video cameras, also those two guys have video cameras, they have telephones, but meeting in person is always way better because we react so strongly on the body language of the other person. Joe Biden is a little bit more flexible. He reacts more to what happens around him, and that makes him appear more approachable. He seems to be more interested in communicating with the people around him, not only Vladimir Putin, but also the people from the press. And he's also more flexible. He turns to the table, grabs a sheet of paper, reads from that, and talks to the people. He also smiles with an open mouth. That is more flexible, but he lacks a little bit of strength. He's always that, to give you a metaphor, he's always that grandfather. Even if he is a little bit angry, it is always a little bit nice and not really that strong as he wants to be. As a summary, it is interesting because, especially for Putin, something has changed. After more than 10 years of American top politicians who enjoy it being in the lights of public, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, both of them enjoyed it to be in the center of the attention. And they also were very talented to attract the cameras. Now, Joe Biden is not that of a talent attracting the public. And that is, although the body language of both of them is very different, they have the same level of we are not that talented for being a stage hawk. And I think that is important after those years of tension, because they can talk more on an eye level and they can talk more about the content and solving problems. So it is actually, I was a little bit surprised. I'm quite positive, and now I'm interested, what do you think about the body language? No, I'm not interested in bashing any one of them or bashing me. I'm just interested, what do you think of the body language of both of them? And if you think someone might be interested in that video, please share it.